Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to Littleport Christian Spiritualists. It's a pleasure to welcome you all once again to Chateau del Nick, La Boudoir del Brown, and to see all those lovely smiling faces peering away at me in the green room downstairs, waiting to pop on, and to see all the lovely people making comments down the side of my screen who are joining us live on Facebook and YouTube for this, our Thursday service. You are all most very, very welcome. And I'll tell you who else is welcome as well. Everyone who joins us late, everyone who joins us after the fact. If you are watching the recorded version, still make a comment. We'll still read it and we'll still comment. We're like that. So do join in, take part, whether you are live or whether you are not so live on the live feed stream. It does get pre-recorded and it does get stuck down there. So welcome one and all. Pleasure to see you all. And well, tonight it's Thursday, the 1st of July. It is around about 1944. And I do mean the hour and minute, not the year. But the thing that I'd like to say tonight is that I know everyone's a bit disappointed because tonight should have been our first soiree back into the village hall. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But we've got 3 weeks left and fingers crossed, we will be taking you all who are here live back to Littleport Village Hall with us to broadcast week in, week out our services, because the last 18 months we've made many friends, we've expanded our congregation, we've reached so many hearts, and to suddenly not have you with us would be an abomination. So you're coming with us, and that's the thing. So we look forward to working out the technology on that. If you thought it was complicated getting Rev Lynn's echo out the way, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. We got there in the end and it was her doing, so I'm sure we can come up with something. But my friends, tonight, we have our usual service of upliftment, love, friendship, kindness, and communication from the world of spirit, where we reach out and prove life is eternal. And one of the most interesting things that I've learned this week is that there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. For example, unfortunately, Reverend Alan cannot make it with us tonight. But you know what? He's still with us, not just in spirit and in kindness and heart, but we've got a VT. We have a VT to roll later on, a bit like the intro sequence, so that will be fun. I'm sure I won't mess it up yet. But to tonight, one of the things that I have witnessed and seen in this last week is a lot of difficulties and frustrations, differences of opinion, disagreements, and it can be quite disheartening. But you know what? That's the silent majority's job, to be less silent. Because when the silent majority opens its hearts and opens its gob and sings in harmony, nothing is impossible and all great things can be achieved. I will be honest, struggled this week emotionally with seeing such heartache and pain and suffering and differences of opinion. But you know what? Those who sing loudest aren't always right. But those who watch and those who are patient and bide their time will always take the opportunity to say their piece. This is spiritualism, and this is the afterlife, and this is those in spirit telling us. And I'm reminded of something that someone told me the other day. And I think it's a really good message. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Well, I know spiritualists and I know spiritualism, and I've never known a spiritualist to do nothing. So let's get on with it, my friends, because now we begin by welcoming our medium for this evening. Her name is Alison. She's a good friend of ours. She's been both with us online and in the hall many a time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Alison Stead. Are you there?
I am, yes. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hi, Nick.
How you doing? Do you know what? It's always, with the technical bits going on, it's always a bit of a worry when I'm sitting there and the time's ticking away and I want to test this and test that. And, you know, you're always perfectly timed and always perfectly turned out and always filled with joy in that face. It's such a pleasure to see. Welcome. What have you been up to?
Thank you. Gosh, well, if I'm looking a little bit tired, I do apologise.
No, you're looking radiant, my lovely.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. We had a new member of the family join us this within the last couple of weeks.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we got a puppy.
Hey.
So I'm tired and puppy duty, and I'd completely forgotten how manic they are. It's like when you have a baby, you have like, I don't know, 9 months or so before they start moving pretty quickly, maybe, if you're lucky. Well, you bring puppy home and the same day they're off everywhere, aren't they? So I've been, come back. So, yes, but he's lovely. He's lovely.
Oh, new member of the family, both spiritually, figuratively, and literally.
Absolutely.
Glad to hear it. Yeah. Excellent. Well, you're very welcome as ever, my darling. Such a pleasure to see you. And I know everyone's looking forward to your demo tonight. And, you know, I know that you will serve spirit so well as you always do. So thank you for joining us. Even though we thought it was going to be in the flesh, you know, at least you can do what I do at the end of the service, roll over and go to sleep, you know, rather than have to clean up all the cups and saucers, which I don't mind doing. But no, thank you for being with us. And there's somebody else that needs to be with us now. At this time in our service, we always go for a bit of food for thought, some words of wisdom, and some philosophical, critical thinking. And this week is no different. So let us welcome to the service, Reverend Lynn, Principal Minister. Are you there?
I am. Thank you very much, Reverend Nick, for the introduction. And it's lovely to see you again, Alison.
Thank you.
I know that I know that it's going to be a wonderful service again this evening. And it's so nice, isn't it, to be of service to the world, really. And there's no limit to how many people might be touched by your work tonight in communicating with the world of spirit and proving that, as Reverend Nick keeps on telling us, you know, that life is eternal, that life does go on after this one. And what is more, we're able to receive messages of comfort back from those who we feel that we've lost. And of course, that sense of loss is very real. And just because we know that life is eternal and that life does go on after this life, it doesn't make it feel any better for us who's left behind, does it? You know, we have to live with that as well. You know, people talk about a grieving process after somebody has left us, you know, to go on to that greater world. But there's no actual process that finishes in that respect. I think that they've scientificized it all. Do you know what I mean? They've sort of wanted to sort of make it something that understandable and put it into a sort of a box all on its own, that this is when you feel grief and this is when you work through it and this is when it stops. And I think that's absolute nonsense. And I think it causes a lot of stress and worry to people, because those of us who have lost people over the years, and it can start from very young, you know, you were mentioning a new puppy, you know, when we lose a loved animal, which often happens to small children, you know, and really and truly, to expect to actually get over that, you know, to stop grieving about it, I think is too much to give to anybody to cope with. And I'm not surprised that people have to then go to an army of counsellors and everything else find out why they've not got over their grief, rather than in, should I dare say, a sort of the old way of just living with it. You know, we have to live with our grief, whatever, you know, whoever's gone, we miss them, and we miss them all the time. You know, every time we think about them, we think, oh dear, I wish so and so was here. I wish so and so was there. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if so and so? And the fact is that although we as spiritualists know that there are opportunities for our loved ones, including our animals, to actually look in on us, because the veil is thin between this world and the next. If it wasn't, we'd be staggering about, wouldn't we, trying to get communication from them. But you know, I think that although we know that they are able to see what we get up to, and they know about new additions to our families, they know any trouble and strife that we're going through, they know if we're ill, they know everything, and even so, as spiritualists, we can still miss them, you know, and so therefore, you know, how awful it must be for people who have no idea that this is actually the case, that their loved ones are still, you know, conscious individuals living on in a different dimension, and able, of course, to understand what's happening in their lives, of those that they've left behind. And although there is no upset and grief in that world of spirit for those who've lived a good life and who have just passed on in the ordinary way, and so therefore they don't grieve for those that they've left behind. There is still that feeling amongst those who are still living down here that they must be grieving for us in the way that we're grieving for them. But of course, that's not the case. And so our job as mediums is very much, and spiritualist speakers, is very much to assure people, I think, that they can be as sad as they want about missing people, but those people that they missed are still okay, and they're still able to look in on them from time to time, and also that they do not feel sadness and grief at having left them, because they know the ultimate truth, that as my person that I'm always heroic about, Maurice Barbanel, the founding editor of Psychic News, proclaimed on his masthead of the newspaper, of which of course I was editor for a few years as well, there is no death. And that was also what he put on his placards when he went up to Speaker's Corner at Hyde Park in London to join in with all the other people. He would get his soapbox and he would stand on that soapbox and he would harangue the crowds. And the big banner was, "There is no death." And if you think about that, then you would think that we would all be, oh, ha, 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 you know, about people who've passed over. But we're not. We're human down here. But the people who have gone to the other side, they are not miserable. What annoys them, if you can call it annoyance, is all of us left down here being miserable and saying, oh, how awful, oh, you know. But no, they are enjoying their next phase of life in the same way that we are expected to enjoy our lives down here as best we can, given all the various and sundry ills that befall us. So I think that your work, Alison, and everybody's who works for spirit in that way is absolutely blessed. And the people that say that we work for the devil or something like that is absolute madness, isn't it? I mean, it's just ridiculous. But I was going to say that also what civilization is measured by is perhaps how people treat their dead. And I think that it shows how civilized us spiritualists are, because we do not, worry too much about where their bodies are, or, after they've finished with them. And so many spiritualists say things like, oh, well, just chuck me over the garden, or just put me somewhere, or donate me to science, or something like that, because we understand that our bodies are just our bodies. Yeah. And as much as we enjoy having those bodies, sort of, those of us who are not not always having problems with them, which is probably 99% of the world's population. You know, when we finished with them all together, we don't really mind what happens. And there's this other thing about, you know, being planted in consecrated ground. You know, like there's a little bit of ground that people say, right, that's the holy bit, and holy people or people that we agree with can be buried in that. Their bodies can be buried in that. And if they're not buried in that, their spirit might walk about at night haunting people. You know, that's an old story, isn't it? You know, if people are not buried in consecrated ground, they come back to haunt. You know, what a load of rubbish is that? You know, and you know, the whole world is consecrated. You know, when God made the world, he didn't put a little, you know, little points of it and little fences around bits of it and say, right, this is more holy than the rest of it, you know. And I think that's something really that we ought to measure our civilization by, is understanding that the whole world is a consecrated place and the whole world is holy. And wherever people's bodies are, you know, so be it. And also there are instances, of course, where there are no bodies. You know, the thousands who've been lost at sea, the thousands and millions who've had their bodies destroyed after their death. You know, their spirit is not dependent upon the body being left intact as much as it could be. Could you imagine that after the physical transition that we call death? You know, it's got no bearing whatsoever on their life in the spirit world, and we need to get that message across, because, you know, if people only understand that this whole world is consecrated, you know, it's all consecrated ground that we tread on, and wherever the body is matters not when it's finished with, because as St. Paul said, you know, we are vessels. You know, we're made of clay. And within it, you know, we have our spirit, but when that clay is finished with, that's the end of it, you know. And I don't think that people should worry very much about where their loved ones end up, being either buried or cremated, or especially for people whose histories have meant that they've had no specific burial place or place of death, or, you know, pieces of body, if you like, you know, left to actually do anything with, or to worship, or whatever they want to do with it. You know, the fact is that we are spirit, and we do not need that when we pass over. So, you know, for people to also feel, like I was saying, that they have to get over missing their loved ones, you know, in some sort of specific. I mean, I've seen it even given a time frame. People have actually sat at desks and decided when people, you know, what phases of grief people should go through, and at the end of which they should be then say sort of something like, Eureka, I'm over it. I don't mind anymore that I've lost my mother, father, brother, sister, puppy, cat, you know, budgerigar, whatever. It's a nonsense. What we do have to say to people is, we can show you as spiritualists how to live with that, to be sorry, to feel sad, but we can show you how you can live your daily life feeling happy that your loved ones are still continuing their existence in the spirit dimensions, and that they still love you. And I think that's the main thing, and that you can love them back. You know, love doesn't have to stop. Love doesn't have to stop any time. You know, whoever you love continueth. And that love is reciprocated still, even if you cannot feel it. But, you know, even if you're not mediumistic, even if you sit at home day and night sitting for spirit, you know, that's the other thing, isn't it? When we try and develop as mediums, sometimes it just ain't going to happen. And people can sit there for years expecting spirit to come to them, or some sign. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just let us tell people, through good people like yourself, Alison, that there is no death, that those that we have loved and still love and who've passed on to the spirit world are still loving us, and that as we grieve for them in various degrees, so that grief is something that we learn to live with, as well as the joy of knowing that they themselves are living on in spirit. And I think it's just a wonderful thing that spiritualism can give to people, is hope and love and joy. And where they are grieving for somebody they've lost or an animal, to know that their grief is basically, genuinely human, and we just grieve for people we've lost, and to know, though, have it assuaged by the fact that those people and those animals are having a jolly good time, in fact. And so it would, every now and again we sort of wake up to that fact, don't we? And we think, right, well, I'm not going to be so sorry at the moment. Then I'll go get on and do something else. And also to tell people that no matter where their loved ones have fallen, and fallen they had done over the millennia on this planet, it doesn't matter where they fell, their bodies fell, their spirit has risen. And Jesus himself tried to get that fact across, and we're still trying to get that fact across. So I say God bless to everybody. I hope that it's given you something to think about, maybe cheered you up if you're grieving, and also to know that by the good offices of our medium tonight, you'll have that fact of life proved to you. So I say God bless you. And thank you again, Reverend Nick, for everything you do, and for coming round to see me today, because that was a blessing in itself, very unexpected. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you, Lynn. And I have to say, what you said tonight, perhaps more than usual, as the saying goes, touched a nerve. And people, one of the things about grief that I've always lived by and certainly preached, for want of a better term, because there isn't one, is that grief doesn't get better, but you do at how you respond and manage it. And that's what's important. It never goes away. Everyone knows that's been with us for an amount of time that certainly this year I've gone through some very public grief. And as a slightly experienced platform medium myself, people would assume that I'd be okay with losing someone because I'm still in touch. But I think what this experience has been able to demonstrate, at least you have to try and take some positive from it, and that to people see that moment of when we lost Dad and the preceding weeks of how me and my family and our friends and the church that was in the village hall with Dad have responded and changed over that period of time, should be a message that not only are we human and have the same flaws that everybody else does, but we still miss the physical, even though we recognize it's not the only thing that exists. And I think it's an important thing for people to see. One of the other things that Jesus spent his days on this earth doing was trying to overturn the old ideologies and sillinesses that those with the ability to speak on behalf of and for God and the world of spirit were any better than anyone else. He certainly went into the temple and turned that one over. And I think that's actually one of the most important things that we as spiritualists continue to do, is to overturn that thought that we are any different to anyone else. And certainly what you said tonight, Lynn, rang very, very true and very, very personally of that. So thank you. And of course, you also mentioned, in your speech tonight about the need to keep going, and that we do keep going. And although I do sorely miss the physical presence of my father. Today, his ability to keep opening a drawer, sitting next to me while Alan was sitting in front of me, was such fun. And I'm now at that stage. So, you know, I think it's necessary for people to see that we are keeping it real, as my younger generation friends would say, because we do. And your words certainly enhance that. So thank you, Lynn. And you're very, very welcome for the visit today. It didn't take many buttons to press, so you're all right. I'm always there for that. So thank you, Lynn. And we will see you, of course, a little bit later on. Bless you. And she's, of course, forgotten that I don't have to mute her anymore. But no, bless. I know everyone always looks forward to hearing what Lynn's got to say. And sometimes it's more personal than others. It's always very personal, but sometimes it really does cut to the quick. And this was one such one. So thank you for those words, Lynn. And of course, now is the time in our service, as I said earlier, when we would have a reading from Reverend Alan. But he's not in the green room. He's not down there. And, you know, we had a chat and I said, well, why are you not going to be? He says, well, I'm back up in Littleport. I'm going to come and visit your mum if she'll have me. And I said, all right, then I've got a solution. And here it is. So in those time-honoured words of broadcasting and what I've been waiting for 18 months to be able to say, I won't deny it. Roll VT.
Tonight's reading is Summer of Our Lives by John Reed. Stop and smell the roses, summer's sweet perfume, a place to view the daffodils, God's nature all in bloom. Sit beneath the willow tree, sheltered from the sun, a wish of every bough, where all our dreams begun. Listen for all the sounds as summer plays its tune, an orchestra of angels, flowers all in bloom. Birds singing in the treetops, in perfect harmony, all creatures great and small, God's greatest symphony. Be amazed by all God's beauty, make each precious moment last, a moment to capture and treasure, a golden memory for your past. Stop and smell the roses like summer's sweet perfume. Take time to view the daffodils, for it's over all too soon. Thank you.
Wow, bless him. And the fact that it once again ties so beautifully in, and you know, people might think, oh well, you played that beforehand. No. Andrew and Beverly, who are on a little bit later on, were here when I tested it, and literally it was him introducing himself and saying hello, the first two lines of saying what it was and who it was from. And Lynn's not that clever at technical stuff when it comes to jumping between screens. Everything she gave was spirit, and everything that Alan read was from spirit. And the fact that the tie-in for animals, you know, the animal tie-in there that Lynn was talking about was so prevalent, and but also that we should sit here and take time to look at the daffodils. I was always reminded in situations like this of a poem I was first taught to memorize when I was about 11, which was years ago. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stand and watch like sheep or cows, no time to see when woods we pass as squirrels hide their nuts in grass. What is this life if full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. And I think that that is a wonderful message that just ties everything in. And when it comes to the animals, I'm reminded, of course, of healing. And healing's vitally important because that's what's next. But I want to thank everybody for sending out their healing to believe it or not, my pet fish. I don't know whether you saw this one, Alison, but
No,
I had a tiny little angelfish who
Oh,
was at death's door, literally. She was so poorly. The very least we expected, and was told that, you know, if she does survive, she'll certainly never be a hatchet, because she was a naughty little one. She was a right little what's-it, as Lynn would call it. She was laying eggs once a fortnight, I tell you. She was a randy little what's-it. But we, if she survived, we said, you know, she would never lay eggs again because her system was too messed up. There is a leaf half the size of my face, covered in eggs, and people had been sending healing to my little dinky, so you know, it is yes, that's what we called her. And so yes, healing really does work for any form of life and every form of life, and that's what matters, because as Lynn said, love is the one eternal thing that matters the most. And of course, healing is part of that. So tonight I have some names to add to our list. I'd like to add Sarah Gopal, our good friend Anthony, who's planning on coming to see us, asked me to have her name added. So please send out your thoughts to her. And also I'd like to add a personal one from an experience today that some friends and colleagues of mine went through, to Eileen and John, and to everyone who I work with who was at work today. I'd like to ask for healing to be sent to them. And this is the wonderful thing about healing. It's quite likely that Eileen and John will never see this, but it doesn't matter whether they know it's coming, because they don't need to. That's the joy of spiritual healing, as opposed to what people call faith healing. So please send out your thoughts. And of course, we will begin with a prayer and end with a word, amen, and between, let there be light. So friends, let's join together and state, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, here we bring unto you all those who are sick and suffering and in need of comfort, both those we know, those we do not know, and those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. Amen. Well, thank you, friends, for sending out your thoughts. And one final thought before we move on to the main event. I can never get it right. There we go. The main event there, Alison, and her demonstration of mediumship. One final thought. It is such an emotional roller coaster sometimes watching the comments section. And it just shows how truly normal human beings we are. Because we go from a comment like this, so lovely to see Alan clearly, a lovely reading as always, you know, and it was true, he was very clear tonight because it was a pre-record, to a comment like this, which I think is absolutely brilliant. It would be funny if someone tuned in at the very point I said my little dinky. That's spiritualism for you, my friends. That's spiritualism. Uplifting with love and laughter, it certainly is. And now, friends, it's time to invite our first recipient up to the platform, because we will now ask Alison to give us a demonstration of mediumship. And of course, you know, it's the bit that everyone looks forward to, a bit of peace and quiet from us with the with the buttons in control and to hand over the service to the very capable hands of Alison. So I will make that question as I normally do at this point. Beverly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Bless you, my lovely. Good to see you. And
Thank you.
can you hear each other, more importantly?
Hello, Beverly. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Alison.
They
Hello.
can. I'm off. See you in.
Okay.
Good to see you. Good
Thank
to see you. All right. So as I'm sitting here, I'm just being made aware of a gentleman who's coming forward in spirit, and I'm sensing him as being quite a tall man, actually. I'm not good at kind of giving heights in numbers, but I sense him as being quite tall, and he's making me feel like he was quite a slim gentleman too. And when I work with spirit, they make me feel differently to how I normally do, because they tend to work very clairsentiently with me. And at the moment, I feel like I'm wearing a blue suit. All right. So this gentleman would be very smartly dressed, and I feel actually the suit was to do with his work. But even when he wasn't working, he would be very smartly dressed, and always with proper trousers, a shirt, and some form of jacket, whether that be, I don't know, like, I forgot what they call them, but not a suit jacket, but a smart jacket. Because he was just that kind of gentleman. And he's also making me aware that he had a very a very kind of coy smile, if you would understand that. He'd have a lovely smile, but it would seem almost shy, if that doesn't sound too silly, because as I'm kind of sensing his energy with me, I know I'm wanting to smile, but it's a very quiet kind of smile. And I feel that was kind of how his character was as well. He would be very almost kind of in the background, but very, very present and in and amongst everything. But because he was such a quiet and gentle-natured man, it could seem as though he was in the background sometimes, but he wasn't really. He was always in the hub of what was going on. And his energy at the moment is feeling really kind of really settled, and I'm just sensing loads of calm with him, and it's that calmness that he's wanting to give to you at this point of time, because he's just making me aware that it's much needed. All right, so it's making me feel very much that he's around you and wanting to give you that sense of calm. Would you? And the feeling that he's giving me that for is very much that been feeling a little bit frazzled recently, and it's like things going on and not quite understanding what it is. And I don't mean not understanding on a mental capacity. I just mean you don't understand why things are going on the way that they are, and it's hard for you to kind of fathom out what is going on. And he's just saying, well, give it time, and it will sort itself out. All right.
Okay.
I feel this is to do with within the family. All right. And you're just saying, don't be too concerned about it. He understands that you are concerned, but he's kind of just saying, don't be too concerned, because things will sort themselves out. All right. It's just going to take a little bit of time. I know we've been speaking about healing as well, and I know that this lovely man is sending healing a little bit for you, but also for somebody else in the family as well. All right.
Thank you.
And he's making me aware of the back area. All right. So I know that there's someone who's suffering with their back at this point in time, and he's sending healing there. With regards to yourself, Beverly, I want to give you a great big hug from this gentleman, and it feels like very much kind of a reunion of minds as well as a reunion of hearts, and he's just filled with joy at kind of being able to spend some time with you this evening. He's actually showing me a little blue bird. All right. So I don't know whether you would understand why he would be showing me a little blue bird, but he's showing me in like as though it's a real little blue bird. Right. And I feel it's more to do with the color. All right. And so I know that he would have loved the color blue, but he's also giving you the energy of that color. All right, to go along with oh, okay, I'm just checking with him, and he's saying that there's something you need to be kind of sharing your thoughts about that you've been keeping to yourself, if you would understand that.
True.
So he's saying sometimes it's better. He wants you to feel able to kind of let your thoughts out, okay? And
Thank
I
you.
have no idea what it's about, but I know that he will help you find the right words at the right time, because that's the kind of gentleman he was. Not that he would speak for you, but he would be that that kind and gentle and kind of worldly wise person with the really good feel of what was going on, and being very astute of different situations and how to handle them. All right. And so I just know that he's able to let you know that he'll be around and helping in that regard for you.
Thank you.
He's given me a tie-pin, so I feel he would have worn a tie-pin.
Yeah.
That would have belonged to a club of that he would have been part of in some way. And he is showing me it as being almost like a square shape. And I'm sensing it as it either being kind of bronze in color or kind of a dull kind of gold in color.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't quite see the detail on it. And I know it's not very large, but I do know it was square. And it was that kind of colouring.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, so.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. He's okay. He's talking about, I know we're in July, but he's wanting to move towards the end of August, beginning of September. All right. And the reason that he's giving me those dates is he's wanting to know that he will be remembering someone, or his thoughts will be with someone rather, around about that time. All right. And he's also, I do feel he's also talking about a passing around about that time as well.
Yeah.
Not his, but he's wanting to. It's important that the memories are kind of
my mum passed in
spoken
September.
about. Okay. And so just know that he'll be joining in with you around about that time as well.
Yeah.
All right. He's also showing me a pen. And I know that he liked his pens.
Yeah.
He's showing me oh yeah. Okay. I feel he would use like a fountain pen rather than a ballpoint pen even. And he's just
calligraphy.
Right, okay, thank you. Because I know that the pen he's given me has got a really good weight in the barrel. All right. And he's saying you can tell the quality of a pen by the weight in the barrel.
Yeah.
All right. And so he's just really he is, I know you shared that he did calligraphy, but he's making me kind of feel like I'm writing, and aside from the calligraphy, his writing would be very nice anyway.
Yeah.
All right. And would you understand there would be a little bit of a joke about that, because and I don't mean to talk generally here, but he's saying that his handwriting was better than yours.
Yeah.
Whereas quite often it's the lady's handwriting that is better than the gentleman's.
Yeah.
If you would understand that. So he's saying
I
he was
write rush.
no, he was saying he was the one that wrote all the cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did,
Thank you. Lovely gentleman, very, very gentle. And he's talking about a young gentleman within the family that he's feeling very proud of. All right. And he's bringing that in within in relation to a job. All right. He's like he's got what he went for, and he's really, really proud of him. So will you let him know and pass on his congratulations to the young man, please? Rather random. He just slid some fish and chips in front of me, so I feel that would be something that he would really enjoy. It's like he'd like his roast dinner, but fish and chips were his real treat. And it's and I can just see the batter, and it had to be really kind of fluffy and light and very, very crispy. he didn't like the soggy kind of batter. So
No.
I know it would be really cooked really, really well. And he's also bringing in a memory of going on a particular railway journey together that was part of a celebration.
Yeah.
Okay, because he just got the train and kind of going up the hills. So I'm not sure which one it was, but I know it was known for its picturesque views. All
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
I know that it was in this country as well.
Yeah,
Right.
it is.
So
It was.
he's just bringing that in as a shared memory with you.
Thank you.
I hope that's been okay. And yeah, as I say, big hugs from this gentleman, and such a pleasure to be able to work with him for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Beverly, do you know what? There are days in this job, and it is a vocation as much as it is a pastime for many of us. There are days that make it all really, really worthwhile. And if people want to go back to 41, 42 minutes and see the look on your face, it makes it all worthwhile. I deliberately kept quiet beforehand because I didn't want to feed the medium, as we say. But when that worth waiting for, do you realize you first contacted me for a message on the 20th of May?
Did I? Oh,
yes. God. And we haven't been able to get you on because of various reasons since then. And, you know, I in my limited knowledge of your life, recognize so much of what we've been discussing.
Yeah.
In that relatively short time, but quite a long time to get someone on the service. So I'm so pleased to be able to see you on with us, and I'm so grateful that you're able to be on with us. Is the truth.
It's been a pleasure to be here, but it's been really terrific to get the message, because I resonate with everything what's being said, you know, and you know, so I'm really happy with whatever I've gone through since the 20th of May. It's been worth it.
Oh, bless you.
Today. Thank you.
Well, we're really glad that we could put that smile on your face.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for joining us, and do stay around for the closing prayer.
Stay around. Thank you, Alison.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Beverly.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm just... Wake up, Nick. Right. Okay. Next. Andrew, are you there? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's there. Right. Okay. I'm out the way. See you in a bit.
Good evening, Andrew.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are yourself? How is yourself?
Not too bad.
All right. Brilliant. Good. All right. All right. Again, for yourself, I have a gentleman that's kind of making me aware of him, and very different to the other gentleman. I'm actually feeling quite stern with this gentleman even. All right, and he's making me. I'm very aware he's kind of pulling me upright, making me want to sit up straight. All right, and he's really okay. I'm feeling quite broad-chested with this man, feeling like a solid build with this gentleman. But for some reason, he's making me feel really, what's the word? Not angry, but very kind of tense in some ways. All right. And the feeling that he's giving me that is he's aware of a situation around you, and it's like he's feeling for you, if you would understand that. Is the feeling that he's giving me is like he's feeling really kind of tense on your behalf, because, and maybe angry on your behalf as well, I want to say. And it's kind of like, if I was here and if I could sort it out for you, I would. All right. And he's just wanting to let you know that he is kind of with you and alongside you. And he's saying he doesn't actually, I don't feel this gentleman comes forward particularly often, but when he does when there's a real need. And at this point in time, he's just saying the need is there, and he feels that he has to come forward just to give you his solidarity. I can't speak tonight. His solidarity and support. All right.
Yeah.
He's actually he's showing me quite a wad of papers. All right. But I feel things are being sorted through, and it's just making me feel that it's kind of just getting a little bit too much, and you're wanting a break from the paperwork. All right. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. And he's really he's saying you're almost tearing your hair out with it, because there's just such a lot to sort through, and one bit leads you in one direction, then you find another and it leads you in another one, and it's just all got a bit higgledy-piggledy. All right. And
yeah,
this gentleman would be very very, very well organized, and so he's just he wanted to take some of that strain away from you and help make it easier for you to organize, and saying to have a break from it. If you can, give yourself a break from it and come back with fresh eyes, almost, rather than just kind of working your way through the mire day in, day out and not getting very far. He said, have a break, forget about it for a short time, and then go back to it, and things will seem a lot more straightforward looking at it with fresh eyes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's also, with regards to himself, he's I'm very aware of my feet with this man. All right. And I feel that when he walked, he would move quite slowly and shuffle almost. And I do also feel, because he's making me trip up over my words a little, that was an issue for him as well. I feel sometimes it was difficult for him to get his words out either smoothly or correctly. He's just given me the name Frida. I don't know whether you would understand that.
I'll think about a minute.
Okay. And yeah, I'm just asking him where Frida would come in, and the feeling is that I know Frida's kind of spirit side as well, so maybe that would be someone that he knew kind of when you were younger. I don't know, but he just mentioned Frida. He's also wanting to he's talking about a move for you. He's aware of things moving for you, and I do feel this is to do with like living accommodation, and he's just saying, just sit tight and just let things happen. Just let things do their thing. All right. He's saying it's going. What he's doing is he's kind of, if you can understand, a bit strange to explain, is making me want to like turn it around for you. All right. So it's almost like if you, how can I explain this? Do you understand this at all? It's like things aren't quite what you're wanting them to be at the moment, but it will turn around and it will be what you want and what you're looking for. Okay.
Just taking a bit of time.
All right. Okay. But again, he's just saying he's wanting to let you know that he's there with you, going through that frustrating process. He's also he's showing me a boating lake actually. All right. And it's not a very big lake, but it's got like model boats on it, so not real boats but model boats, and he's showing me that as I feel that would be a memory that you would have with this gentleman as a child almost, because he's showing me himself as he was younger and with a small boy. All right, which I would presume would be himself. And it's almost like, like holiday parks or that kind of place. It's like I feel very much it's in one of those, but there was a small boating lake that he used to enjoy taking you there. Do you understand that?
I'll have to think about that.
Okie
Not
dokie. All
quite
right.
sure.
All right. Yeah, it's like you could manipulate the boats. I'm sure there's a better way to explain it, but manipulate the boats in some way. All right. He's also mentioning a hearing loss to me, right? And sorry, a hearing loss, and I feel that would be with him, because he's like coming close, but he's kind of being quite quiet, and so I feel that he had to be quite close to people to hear them.
Yeah.
And he's also showing me crosswords, enjoying doing the crosswords, but he's saying that's something you enjoy doing as well. And bless him, he's saying he had more patience than you do with them. He would just sit there and kind of sort them out, whereas you get a bit frustrated with them and have to put them down and then come back to them. All right. And
yeah.
he's the feeling that he's giving me or showing me is that there's one that you found particularly trying this last week or so, and you've almost like just given up and put it in the bin, but you haven't. All right. And he says keep at it, because you'll get that, you'll get it in the end. Okay.
All right.
He's also okay. It's interesting. It's like aware that you've been choosing or eating different foods recently, quite different to what you would normally do, and it's like almost by necessity than choice, but not necessarily on a for a health reason. It's just where you've been, there's been different kinds of food, and it's just aware that you've been having to broaden your palate a little bit, let's say. And he's just saying that was quite amusing to watch, because some of the foods, some of them you weren't that sure about, but you're like, this is quite nice actually. So he's saying you've now got other foodstuffs that you can incorporate into your more regular diet, and so he's quite happy about that for you.
Yeah.
All right, I hope that's been okay for you, Andrew.
Yes, lovely, thanks.
Oh,
Thank you. Andrew, good to see you again.
All right.
And I've seen some little grins from downstairs from time to time regarding some of the comments. They often forget that I can still see them. She's laughing now. And you'll probably see who it is in a minute, because I'm sure you can guess who's up next. But it's good to see you again, and good to see you looking so well. And, just because we're going back into the hall doesn't mean to say you can't ask for a reading now and again, because I will be setting up a big screen, one that collapses. So always welcome. Nice to see you, and do stay around for the closing prayer.
Yeah, will do. Thanks very much.
God bless, mate. Thank you. Oh, well done, Dole. Well, brief interlude. The lighting has changed in here quite dramatically. Oh, look, light returneth. It is now time for a very brief interlude, of course, as we maintain one of our time-honoured traditions here at Littleport, for those that are watching for the first time, maybe. When we choose who's getting a message, it's usually done by raffle. And back when we had raffles in the village hall, we would say the words for the final raffle prize. Well, I won't say the words. I will just ask that magic question. Hannah, what time is it?
Burger prize.
Bully special prize. How are you, my lovely?
Good.
You've been keeping your mum occupied?
Yeah.
Good. That is the main thing.
Yeah.
Do you know, you've only got 2 left of this until we're back in the hall.
Yay.
Hey, won't that be a treat?
Yes.
Excellent. Bless you. Well, to Hannah and Samantha and Bully and, of course, Henry, who's about, I say thank you. But we're not going anywhere, are we? Because Bully's special prize does indeed go to Mum. So, Alison, Samantha, Alison, it's over to you, and I'll see you in a bit.
Hello.
Hi, Alison. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm all right.
okay. We'll leave it there then. All right. Straight away, I'm met by a beautiful lady. All right, and she's. I feel she would be about my height, and I'm about 5'1.5". I'm not tall, so I know this lady would be quite diminutive as well. But she's taking me right back, actually. And by that, I mean, I feel like I'm wearing one of those aprons that used to kind of go over the head and be quite frilly around the edges with the with the pockets in the front. All right. Yeah. And it is quite brightly coloured. Okay. And but she's saying it was she preferred that to wearing a house coat, is what she's telling me. And so she would always put the apron on when she was doing jobs. I don't feel she actually used it for cooking. It was more when she was doing the housework rather than cooking. All right. But she's saying it was just easier than having a house coat on for whatever reason that would be. Lovely lady, and she's just really okay. She's actually feeling quite excited. So, and she's just giving me she's giving me two things actually. The first thing she brought in was a birthday cake or a celebration cake. All right, and she's saying that's been lit up in spirit. All right, so it's someone's birthday in spirit that you would have been remembering, and she's just acknowledging that with the cake. But she's also bringing in a candle for someone who you have been remembering as well. All right, so not just remembering someone's birthday, but remembering someone around about this time who would have gone to spirit. And I know that would have been a gentleman. Okay. She's also, and so Spirit is saying thank you for those thoughts on both counts. All right. Okay. She's doing a bit of a Cinderella thing here. She's just giving me a shoe. I won't ask. She's saying that she's aware of the difficulty you've had with your shoes recently. All right. Okay. And she's just saying she's bringing in another one to fix it. All right. I don't know why she's not giving you a new pair, but she's just bringing in one. So maybe she's saying not make do and mend, but it can be fixed kind of rather than needing to go out and buy a whole new pair. All right. She's also this lady. She's making me feel in regards to herself. I'm very aware of my eyes. Or her eyes rather, and I'm feeling like her vision would have. I know lots of people's vision kind of deteriorates, but she's kind of making it go very pinpricky. All right, so that towards the end she really struggled with her eyesight, and she's also she's giving me the sense of needing to have support as she was moving around. But I know she was a very proud lady, and it's like she would rather have people help her moving around rather than rely on, I don't know, say a walking frame or something like that. She would much rather be helped by someone who was by her side. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
She is. I know she loved going out and having outings and things because she's getting quite excited, and she would look forward to when the car came to pick her up. But I feel that would have been someone within the family would have kind of picked her up and taken her places, whether that was to help around the shops or for more kind of enjoyment things. But she just used to get really. She's letting me know that she would get really quite excited waiting for the car to arrive, and she's actually showing me a yellow car, if you would understand that.
I'll have to think about a yellow card.
Okay, all right. Okay. Anyway, I just know that she would be excited and almost like waiting by the window for the car to watch the car draw up.
All
She's
right,
also
okay.
oh gosh, oh, right. You've not changed your toothpaste recently, have you?
I go between two.
All right, because you're just saying it, and it's different to what you were using the other week. I don't know. Just so
Yeah, we'll be right.
Okay, all right. So she's obviously kind of been around you, and she wants. I've no idea what you do, kind of work-wise or anything, Samantha, but I feel that this lady, in her younger days, would have taught in some way, because she's just giving me the feeling of being very good at kind of teaching people, and showing them how to do different things, and she's very, very practical minded. All right. I don't feel she was into baking particularly. No, in fact, she didn't like baking at all. She was very more into practical things rather than kind of baking and that kind of thing. She did it when she needed to, but I don't feel that was her thing.
All right, okay.
Okay. I do know that she loved her garden though, because she's just taken me outside her back door, and I can just see a beautiful garden with really nicely dug borders, and she was really proud of that and saying, I did all that myself. All right. And she just that was her happy place. And she's also talking about an apple tree, if you would remember an apple tree being in the garden, not a big one, but just a little apple tree. All right.
Okay.
And I feel that would have, obviously you'd have eaten the apples. She's also all right. She's mentioning a dragonfly. You haven't seen a dragonfly recently.
Yeah, I actually saw one this afternoon. It wasn't real, but I saw a dragonfly this afternoon.
Okay, yeah, because she just showed me the dragonfly coming in.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, she's I mentioned the colour blue on another reading this evening, I think, but she wants to bring in the colour blue as well, but for I feel a different reason, and she's just saying that that's kind of happy memories. All right. She's and I feel it's kind of linking to the sea, happy memories of the sea, but also loving the blue sky as well. You know, when the sky is really kind of clear and blue, like she loved those days. And she's kind of making me, I know I've not got long sleeves, but I'm wanting to roll my sleeves up with her. So I feel that would be something that she would do. And she just loved to have the feel of the sun on her arms. And I do feel her arms were quite tanned, and quite freckly. Not all the time, but just when the sun caught them. And yeah, she just loved being out in the didn't want it very, very hot, but she just loved it being out in the warm. And she's she's doing something. Okay, with my, I'm moving my toes. She's making me move my toes. And it's like I'm dancing, but I don't dance. So this is quite unusual for me. But I feel this lady liked to dance when she was younger, because I don't know what kind of dancing she's doing, but it's moving quite quickly. All right. If I was doing it, I'd trip up, but I know she'd have been okay. All right. And she's just making me aware that there is a younger person, a younger girl who does dancing also. All right. And she's been watching. She's just saying that she's been watching her. Oh, right. Okay. She's been watching Hannah do the dancing then. Okay. And she's saying that brings such joy to her. Such joy to see.
That's good.
And it's not strange, but she just put a big mug of tea in front of me. So I know that she'd have been a tea drinker rather than a coffee drinker. But not in a dainty cup. No disrespect, she likes a proper mug of tea.
I like
Sorry?
a mug. I like a cup of a mug as well.
All right, okay. But I know this lady did as well. And so she's just like, and you would have shared many cups of tea with her. She's just kind of making me feel you'd sit down, excuse me, at the table together and just chat and just kind of while away the hours. And she's like, you could lose the time. You'd set off. You'd start off in the afternoon, and before you know it, it would have been dusk, and the lights, you know, it was dark outside, and the time just went so quickly within each other's company. And she really treasures those times and loves those times. And I know that you do too. And she's showing me quite a big bookcase that was crammed full of books. All right.
Yeah.
Within her house. And she's saying that right. She's saying that you borrowed a few. Yeah. And they not all of them came back. All right, but she's saying it's she's saying it's fine, don't worry. She wasn't worried about it. She didn't mind, but she knew that she knew when they didn't come back. But she's saying that with kind of joy and laughter. So I hope that's been okay, Samantha.
That's lovely. Thank you, Alison. Thank you very much.
Excellent stuff. Look, it's nice to see a smile on your face, woman. I really is. And you know, as Lynn predicted right at the beginning, as I predicted right at the beginning, Alison and her guides and everyone she works with in spirit really have not only done yourself and Andrew and Beverly a service, but also to all of us watching and to spiritualism in general, actually. Very much so. Thank you, Sam, and thank you for keeping an eye on Hannah. We'll see you in a few minutes anyway for the closing prayer. But I just want to chat with this lady for a few moments all to myself. So I'll see you soon. God bless.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, Alison, what can I say but thank you? It seems pale and insignificant, you know, to be able to come in, week out, and bring a smiling, positive face to prove life eternal, would always put the fear of what's it into anybody. But I know that the people who come on here week in, week out, like yourself, are genuine, honest to God, quite literally, servants of spirit, of the truth, but also, most importantly, perhaps, of the people. You know, there's a big ongoing discussion as the difference between, you know, who are we actually serving, the living spirit or the discarnate spirit? And I personally think it's going to be one of both, because, you know, you do serve spirit to do their work, but you're also providing comfort, kindness, upliftment and love to the living spirit, us stuck down here. You know, when, as Lynn said earlier in her address, I believe, you know, it can seem like a chore being down here. But in all honesty, people like you, Alison, make it less of a chore. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And don't take my word for it, because it's her turn now. Reverend Lynn, speak up.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alison, on behalf of everybody, you know, because I know that everyone must be so thankful for your service tonight. And, you know, I've asked people to watch who may not ordinarily watch a spiritualist service. And we have to always be mindful, don't we, that there is always at least one person who has never been to a spiritualist service in their life before, who will be attending any one given service that goes out. And I think that anybody who was looking at this spiritualist service for the first time in their life would hopefully be as convinced as we are after hearing your convincing demonstration of mediumship and listening to the philosophy that comes from that fact. I hope that they would decide that they would indeed, continue to take part, in being part of our spiritualist movement, to visit their local spiritualist church or meeting place in order to get more evidence of survival and more spiritual upliftment and joy for them. So thank you very much, Alison. I know that your own guides and helpers are very pleased with you, and I can see a very interesting spiritual future for you down here, I hasten to add. But I can see that your work will be added to, not taken away from. So I think there's more for you to do in the future. And I suspect that's to do with the church and with your own religious beliefs. So I'll leave it at that. Because, we're not supposed to predict anything. But, of course, when them upstairs tell us stuff, it's very hard not to pass that on. Especially if it has a very interesting quality to it that this one has for you, Alison. So I'll say God bless to you and your guides and helpers and inspirers, and thank you very much for actually, Reverend Nick, inviting me onto the service, week after week, to say a few words. And I only hope that I can, fulfill some needs that people have on a spiritual level. So thank you very much again, Alison, for everything that you do, and thank you for serving our particular church. We think a great deal of you, and it'll be lovely to see you back at Littleport Village Hall in the very near future, I hope, and we'll share a cup of tea together. So God bless you, and thank you, Reverend Nick, the opportunity to speak without being muted.
Without it, it's lovely. It took us almost to the end of lockdown to get it nailed, but we got there. And if that's not an allegory and for life itself, I don't know what is. But no, seriously, thank you, Lynn, as always, and Alison. Just thank you so much. And I know we have spoken and speakings about that particular future, but I haven't actually told Lynn yet in my other capacity as the Archbishop of the New Christian Spiritualist Society, supporting the principal minister, who is but 2 panels on the screen away from me, of your interest and beginnings of that interest. So I would imagine I will be harangued for more details at a not too distant but later date.
I already know.
Oh, well, there you go then. But there you go.
We'd be poor sort of mediums if we didn't actually get information from the spirit ourselves.
Well, this is it. So this is why it's so easy being the assistant to Lynn, because she already knows what I'm up to before I'm doing it myself. It's great. I love it.
I do indeed. And I remember when I first went into the offices at Psychic News and they said I was a medium, and one young woman who worked there said that she always seemed to be very strange when I spoke with her. And I said, are you actually here or doing something else in your mind? So she said, oh no, she said, I was told to put a brick wall up in my mind so that you wouldn't read it. I said, I beg your pardon. She said, they told me that you were a medium and you'd be able to read my mind. So I explained the error of that thought.
I can
that we do not read people's minds. But of course, what we do is we get information from them upstairs, and then we know whatever's going on. But the fact that, I wasn't really, I didn't really want to get into this young lady's mind, to be quite frank.
And I will just add something, a very valid comment from Reverend Kathy. Well done to Reverend Lynn, who was very unwell this morning, and I can attest to that. And Spirit certainly did perk you up. You're looking so much better than you did a few hours ago. 9 hours ago, let's be honest, so yay to them and yay to you, and thank you as ever for joining us, my lovely. So God bless, and don't go anywhere. In actual fact, I think it is that time. Put your clothes back on, everybody, because you're coming back on the screen. Is one of the fun things about this is I can say what I like and people believe me. It's great. Anyway. So, and I'm just going to stop there after the dinky comment because we're getting very close to yogurt pot territory, so I have to be careful. Well, friends, thank you for joining us this fine evening. Thank you to Alison for such a wonderful, wonderful demonstration. It just defies words, really. So thank you. Thank you to Lynn for, as ever, taking part and sharing your words. Thank you to Beverly, to Samantha, and to Andrew for being recipients and receiving a very public display of your life and your history. And of course, it wouldn't be the same without Hannah and Bully and our special prize. But of course, to Reverend Alan on VT, joining us, before and during, but not at the same time. And to everyone at home who joins us week in, week out, offering support and love and kindness, and ensuring that a church is what it's supposed to be. Its members, its community, and the love and the kindness that I see scrolling down that side of that screen every week is just so wonderful. So thank you all. We will be back next week. We have got two services left before we get back into the hall. And I can tell you now that the mediums are booked. Next week, our medium will be someone who hasn't served us online before. The last time this medium served Littleport was the Christmas before lockdown. It's me. I'm serving you guys. I am your medium for one. So several people have said, "Come on, Nick, it's about time you served your own church." So the wonderful Tony Swindles is going to join us to run the service. And of course, I have been, to be honest with you, in lockdown, I've been working more than I would normally. So it's not like I'm out of practice. So the penultimate service, I will be your medium. And of course, as a special treat, our final service from Chateau Delnick before going back into the hall will be the lovely and wonderful Canadian medium, Matthew Stapley, Reverend Matthew Stapley, who will be joining us all the way from Canada. And I know everyone's going to be very excited about that. Cue drooling in the comments page. And one final thing, as we're getting close to the end of the home services, a question has just been asked. I will answer it. What am I wearing from the waist down? Well, tonight I will show you, because I'm not wearing the tutu. I am, of course, wearing black trousers that match the rest of me. So had I been wearing the tutu again, I probably wouldn't have done. But friends, thank you so much for being part of this Thursday night. Again, thank you to everyone who's taken part. But until next week, we must close this service in prayer as we join together as ever and state, Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, we thank you for the opportunity to draw together as friends, to unite under your banner of love and hope and friendship, and witness that truth that life is indeed eternal. And as we go about our daily lives until we meet again, dear Lord, we ask that question that has been proven so many times to be true, and so many times has shown that you do listen. When in strife, dear Lord, we ask you not to move the mountain. Just give us the strength to climb. Until we meet again in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, friends, that's that for another week. God bless you all. See you all soon. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. And until next week, when I won't be chairing, which will be a treat for you all, I'm sure. May the peace of the Great Spirit go with you all. And of course, let's give him one more shout out before the final run. You know what time it is. I'll ask him to tell you and show you what you're all doing next. The kitchen is now open. Good night and God bless.